This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Laguna Playhouse for the national tour of the official Blues Brothers Revue. Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Wayne Catania, a.k.a. Jake Blues. I'm a musician, been doing that all my life. Played drums, play some guitar, sing, do some acting, and that just ended up to here I am with Jake. Jake's a really nice guy. A very lovable guy. I think that he likes to push the limits all the time.
One of my questions I want to ask you is, how did you get into music?
I listened to it. The Beatles, of course, the Beatles. You hear the Beatles, and it started then. And I remember getting pots and pans, and I wanted to be Ringo because I thought that was really cool playing drums. And then so it all started with the Beatles. Yeah, I have to say.
But did you have to go through a lot of training? Would you start when you were young, or was it later in high school or college?
No, it was in high school, and then when we finished school, we put a band together and toured terribly, but we did it, and spent a year on the road, going from back. A while back, it used to be a week at a time. You would play in a bar, and then move on the Sunday to the next bar and play that bar for a week. And we worked our way all across the country. It took us a year to do that. But, we came back a better band than we left, for sure.
What's it like being a professional musician? Is it a lot of traveling? Is it enough? Can you have a personal life? Is it like hard work? Or is it as glamorous? Or is it actually not as glamorous as some people think?
Well, I don't know. I just personally like it. So there's nothing bad about it. This is... I feel I have the greatest job in the world, and I like it. And I do have a personal life, and it all fits. It all works, and it makes sense. And it is what it is. And just like anybody else, you have your better days and your not so good days. But on the whole, I feel very fortunate.
Could you tell me a little about the audition process? Meeting Dan Aykroyd and all those people.
Well, yeah. I guess there's a little bit of nerves going on because both Kieran and I, we worked in Chicago for Judy and Dan. Judy being John's widow. And Dan put a show together called Blues Brothers Revival, and Kieran and I did get the audition, and it was it just happened. So when we met Dan, for me it was he's bigger than life, and he's got a great energy to him. So it was a wonderful experience, actually. And meeting Judy as well was a really wonderful experience. I was nervous right up until I met them, and then they took all that away.
I guess they're really down-to-earth people then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're wonderful people.
And how about Paul Shaffer? How is he like?
Paul's great. He's great. He's got great stories. He's an incredible musician, and we're so lucky to work with him and watch him work. When he the little things he changes in the band or in the music, it just makes such a big difference. He just knows music so well. You realize he was the original musical director of the original Blues Brothers. So he was there at first. He's on the very first album, Briefcase Full of Blues, as well. He's the one who put the band together with Cropper and Dunn and all the boys there.
A lot of community theater actors listen to my show, and obviously a lot of music students too. What kind of advice can you give them? They're young people trying to get into business.
Geez, I don't know if I'm so good at advice. I think enjoy the process and enjoy what you do, and there's no guarantees in anything for anybody, but I think if you enjoy what you do, you got it licked. Just enjoy it.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with
Kieran Lafferty. I'm from Toronto and came up through the blues R&B circuit there as a musician, and branched off into acting and voice work and various other theater projects, and wound up with the Blues Brothers family. I play Elwood. Well, Elwood is not a man of many words. He's kind of a sociopath with a heart of gold, really. So it's much like his brother Jake, and they have inherited the spirit of the blues, and he likes to drive.
So, how did you get to become a musician?
Well, I would have to say, I was influenced by the great music of the 60s, the Beatles, of course, Led Zeppelin, Stones, and all of the great American acts, too numerous to really rattle off right now, but all of that generation of what I would call, the Renaissance in modern music, and all of that was a huge influence. My father had a nightclub, so we got to see some of those acts as a young lad, and that, I think, was probably the most potent influence.
So having a father who was a nightclub owner, what was that like? Did he say, okay, you're going to be a musician, you start studying, you start practicing now, or was it something that he just let you develop?
I don't. No, he never told me that I should be anything. He sort of wanted to support whatever it is we chose to do, and there was such great music spinning in the house. Record companies would give him records to play in the club to see how they tracked. He'd bring them home. He'd make us sit and listen on earphones. So I could think of one night he brought home Tommy by The Who, and we had to sit and listen to both sides. That was our bedtime story. I don't think we made it through side one before we fell asleep, but, caught up with it later.
Yeah. Do you have any fond memories of your father? I'm just figuring, how does a person become a musician? Because, again, it's not like... I hope it's not the money you're expecting, because you don't make a whole lot of money when you're starting off and all that. But when your father had the club, I was just thinking, what was going through your mind?
I really wasn't thinking about it then. It was, a little bit later in high school when I thought, I might be able to make some money doing this. Certainly, if you can make, a couple of bucks and go and play, well, what a joy that is. And it's better than a paper route. So you see, that's how that sort of worked out. We probably made $25 each our first gig. But, back then that was pretty good dough.
So how did you meet your partner here?
We met, there's a show still running out of Las Vegas called Legends in Concert, and they had a show that was about 6 different shows running in various different parts. That blew into town, and a good friend of mine was playing keyboards in the band. We had another couple of dates. I just went there to pick up some CDs of some songs we were going to do, and the Elwood happened to quit on that day, or shortly after, said he was quitting, and my friend said, well, you should try and do this. It was an impersonator show, so you had an Elvis and a Tom Jones and whoever the flavor of the month is, all kinds of different acts, probably 6 different acts. I really, in my mind, was the last thing I wanted to do. We've all seen bad Elvises or, any impersonator done badly. We've all seen lip syncing. That didn't interest me at all. But when I went there, these people were using their own voices. It was musical theater. And to me, it was something different and an opportunity. And I'd done a bit of theater before, so it was an opportunity to get into musical theater. That's really the way I framed it. And a challenge to do this character well.
Are you going to continue with concerts, or actually want to get more into musical theater and acting?
Well, this is the job we're doing now, and we've actually been doing it a little while. It seems to have morphed into various different projects. So right now, it's just kind of a lot on the table doing Blues Brothers business. And we've worked with Judy and with some of the other writers from SNL, writing a pilot for a TV show. We've done a lot of different projects with them, and it's really been keeping us very busy. So I'm always open to anything, but this has been a pretty much full-time job, for the last little while. Yeah.
What was it like working with Dan Aykroyd and Paul Shaffer?
Well, Dan's a great guy. He's I would say when we first started working in Chicago, I hadn't met him, and it was opening night. I knew that he was going to be there, and I said to Judy, John's wife, I said, I've got to meet Dan before the show. And she said, oh, no, he never meets anybody before the show. So I'm really nervous, and I'm in the change room, and I'm going, man, I got to break the ice. I can't go out doing a character that he wrote and not meet him. I'm going to feel really uncomfortable. And she kept saying, no, he never meets anybody before the show. And about 5 minutes before the show, I heard this voice down the hallway, where's that Elwood Blues? And he came in, and he broke the ice with us, and he was great, and just a wonderful guy, fascinating character, and a wealth of information musically and really across the board.
And did you get to meet Paul Shaffer too?
Yeah, we work with Paul. Paul is actually our MD, so once a year or whenever we can get together, he'll come out and he'll go through the set with us and make some changes and tweak things, and then he's off.
Great. Okay, a little bit about my show. A lot of people who listen to my show are like, they're actually musical students, they're community theater actors. What kind of advice can you give them to help them along with their career? Now they're thinking about getting into making this a career.
Well, I think the best advice is, in terms of a career, it's wide open like anything. It depends what you put into it and what you're looking to get out of it. If you've got the spirit and you want to act, you got the bug, then follow it and pursue it. I think the most important thing is to be in the moment. Never drag anything on stage that from your personal life. You got to jump into the character and be in the moment in that character all the time. If you're on stage and you're thinking about cleaning out your garage, that's bad. You got to bring yourself into the moment, and that's probably the best advice I could give.
Yeah. One last question is this actually a concert, or is it more of an acting, singing type of musical theater type thing? Because I was kind of confused. It's not your typical concert.
Well, it's really a combination of the live concert stuff that Jake and Elwood did in the beginning of their career. It's a combination of that and theater and multimedia. So it's a slightly different animal. We're frying it up a little bit differently. It's not a traditional musical in the sense that, like Mamma Mia or I'm Forever Plaid or any of these other posters I'm looking at here. It's really a kind of a refried, I would say kind of a bit of a new thing for us to mix theater with live concert performance with multimedia. And it's inspiring, and I don't think we've even finished yet. It's a constant work in process.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you kindly.
The official Blues Brothers Revue will be playing at the Laguna Playhouse from August 13th to 30th. For more information, go to lagunaplayhouse.com or theorangecurtainrev.com.
Folks, here's a story about Minnie the Moocher. She was a low-down, hoochie-coocher. She was the roughest, toughest frail. Minnie had a heart as big as a whale. Heidi, 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 ho! Heidi, 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 ho! Eddie, 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 Eddie! Eddie, 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 Eddie! Whoa! Heidi, 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 ho! Heidi, 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 ho! racing horses. Each meal she ate was a dozen courses. Had $1 million worth of nickels and dimes. She sat around and counted them all 1,000,000 times. Howdy, 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 howdy. Howdy, 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 howdy. Howdy, 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 ho. Howdy, 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 ho. Scoodly-boo, 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 poor man, poor man, poor. You win.